Authority Wheels bus service. So, Christy.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. My name is Christy Wegner. This is my third day on the job. I am the newly appointed executive director for the Livermore Amador Valley Transit Authority, otherwise known as your Wheels bus system. I have been working in public transportation for almost 20 years. And actually, this is my second time working for LAVTA. I worked here from 2014 through 2018 as your director of planning and operations. So it is day 3. I am still getting up to speed on all the wonderful things that LAVTA has been doing. So bear with me if I can't answer all your questions, but I wanted to just take this opportunity to show you and talk to you about all the great work that is underway at the agency. So I have a short presentation. Can you see the first slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me get going here. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so today I wanted to speak with you just in general about what we've been doing at Wheels, both with our fixed route and paratransit services, as well as highlight some of our fare programs, and then really spend some time talking to you about the great innovative work that is underway at the agency, including zero emissions technology. I just heard my colleague from ACE Rail highlight all the innovation that ACE Rail is embracing with zero emissions technology for their locomotives. And we are really excited here at LAVTA to do the same for our fixed route fleet. And I'll talk to you a bit about our Go Tri-Valley partnership with Uber and Lyft, which is something I actually started in 2017, and highlight a bit about our shared autonomous vehicle program. So we do run a fixed route network, as you know, in the Tri-Valley, and we are still recovering from the pandemic, both in terms of ridership, as well as being able to restore all of our service. We did see a tremendous drop in ridership. This is not surprising. Every transit system in the country saw this. I think LAVTA, lost 90% of its ridership, in the days following the shutdown in 2020. We have been seeing ridership growth. A big chunk of our ridership is our student population, and I think that's a tremendous opportunity. We see a lot of middle, high school students riding our service, and we have great service to Las Positas. So there's some opportunity there. But we do need bus operators, so I'm happy to engage with the chamber in any way possible to get the word out about our need and our deficit of bus operators. So we are at about 75% of our pre-COVID level of service and seeing about 60% of our pre-COVID ridership. For paratransit, we've been doing some really great and innovative partnerships with the other smaller operators in Contra Costa County. There is a one-seat ride pilot available. So if you are a paratransit customer and you live in the Wheels service area, you can book a one-seat ride essentially anywhere into Contra Costa County on paratransit. This removes the necessity for a transfer, and that's just, I think, awesome customer service and for our most vulnerable ridership. So I think that's fantastic. I'm so excited to be able to see how that can be expanded regionally. And very recently, LAVTA entered into a consolidated paratransit contract with County Connection. So now if you are traveling between Livermore and Walnut Creek or Concord, anywhere County Connection's paratransit service goes, it is the same system. You have the same reservation line, and you have the same vehicles. So we are really looking at collaborative opportunities. And lastly, for our fixed route service, we have some fare programs. We have our Alameda County Transportation Commission funded, Measure BB funded student transit pass program. This was something that was launched as a pilot when I was here about 5 years ago, and it has been expanded, which is wonderful. So currently all middle and high school students in the Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District are eligible to receive a free pass on wheels. And I believe low-income students in Dublin and Pleasanton's school district also can receive this pass. We also have a Las Positas College Pass. There was a student mobility fee that the students voted to assess on themselves. A 90% yes vote happened about 5 years ago, and it is $9 per semester for full-time students and $8 for part-time students, and that allows full access to the Wheels system. Turning to innovation, which is one of my favorite topics, Wheels is all in on hydrogen, which is super exciting. I know very little about the technology. My previous employer was all in on battery electric technology, so I'm trying to get up to speed on hydrogen, but there are plans to convert our fixed route system to hydrogen technology by 2034, hopefully working with our Gillig partners right down the street. We have been piecing together the funding required to fuel and maintain this new fleet of buses. We are the lucky recipients of a state grant earlier this year for a hydrogen fueling station, and we are actively pursuing more grant funding for funds to convert our Atlantis maintenance facility to support hydrogen. I mentioned Go Tri-Valley, our partnership with Uber and Lyft. This has been around 5 years or so. I helped launch this in 2017, and at that time it was just limited to Dublin and branded as Go Dublin. But I think the popularity and also just the challenge of providing fixed route mobility in the Tri-Valley really necessitated an expansion of this program. And so it is Tri-Valley wide. We pay half the fare, up to $5 for your shared rides on the Uber or Lyft platform. There are nuances for each, for how to enter your coupon code. So I would encourage everyone to visit our website and look more about that, look more into that program. But it's a great first and last mile offering for local travel, for short trips as well. And lastly, rounding out our innovation, we have a shared autonomous vehicle pilot. This is something I was involved with before I left, and 5 years ago. There was an autonomous route between BART and Persimmon Place in Dublin, and the idea really was to gather information and to test the technology to move towards a future where we could deploy autonomous vehicles as first and last mile connectors to BART. So we are still dabbling in this technology. I am trying to get up to speed on all the things that have changed since I left, but we are definitely have our eye on the benefits of this technology, both to move people, but also I think from a safety perspective. And looking to the future, this is my last slide, and then I will stop speaking and I can try to answer your questions. I think a big priority is to restore our bus service to pre-pandemic levels. Really requires more operators. Until we can do that, I think we should continue to leverage programs like Go Tri-Valley for mobility needs in our service area. I'm really excited about technology. I think moving buses faster matters, and so I was fortunate to work with our city partners years ago on transit signal priority, and really am excited to see what we can do there, as well as more autonomous vehicle technology, continuing our SAV pilot, and also looking at ways to make our buses smarter, looking at vehicle to infrastructure technology. So I'm really big on that. And I think there's a whole lot of regional opportunities. There's just a lot of energy around seamlessness and fare integration and service integration. And so I'm excited to be more involved in those discussions and look at more partnership opportunities to meet the mobility needs of our residents that are not contained within our service area. We see a lot of people going up to 680 corridor, and there might be opportunities for LAVTA and other agencies to partner on shared services. And I think really exciting is a future service to Valley Link. And I think Kevin Sheridan is here today. I have not met Kevin yet. Kevin, I will be reaching out to you to have a meet and greet, but excited to partner with you and see how we can work together in the future. And with that, I will stop speaking, stop sharing my screen, and happy to try to answer any questions from anyone.
Christy, thank you. Can you do us all a favor and put your contact information in the chat?
Most definitely.
That would be great. And now, does anyone have any questions for Christy? We'll start with Mark.
Good morning, thanks, and welcome to the Tri-Valley. Welcome back, I should say, to the Tri-Valley. We've read in the newspaper about how many of the public transportation services, such as BART, have been, grossly affected by the pandemic, and people just aren't taking public transportation as much anymore as they did prior to the pandemic. How does that affected your organization?
Thank you, Mark, for that question and for the warm welcome back. Yes, BART and some of the other kind of commuter-based systems were more impacted financially because of the pandemic, because they were more reliant on passenger fare revenue. We are in a healthy position, I think, financially. Our passenger fares really only made up, 10 or 15% of our overall operating revenues. And so, yes, we took a hit, and yes, we're watching out for that. And we know BART is, trying to scramble together to piece together their budget. But, we definitely saw a dip in ridership. We're still at 60% from where we were. There's opportunities to grow that. But I think our fiscal cliff that's the term people are using. There was an article a few weeks ago about the collective, the 27 different operators in our collective fiscal cliff. And for some, that is a real cliff. It is looming and it is very near term, but I think we are in a healthier position. But yeah, we definitely have room to restore our ridership.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Mark. I was thinking the same thing. So, all right, Renee.
Good morning, Christy, and congratulations on your new endeavor. We wish you the best of luck from our ace. Just to highlight, great presentation, and just to let you know, I just learned about your Go Tri-Valley first and last mile program this morning, so I'll definitely send that over to the marketing department to see how we can give you a shout out on social media, because that's one of the challenges we continuously have once people get to the bus stop or train station, be like, how do they get to their final destination? So that's a great option. So I'm glad to share that with our marketing folks so we can help you guys promote that as well too. So good job. Thank you for that information.
That's wonderful. No, I think, and until we can restore our full frequency on our fixed route network, it is a good option for folks for that first and last mile trip.
Any other questions for Christy?
I do. I have a question for Christy. Hi, Christy. Welcome back. Looking forward to working with you again. A question on the service area that you referred to. It includes just the city limits of the Tri-Valley cities, correct? Doesn't go out into the
correct. Yes, correct. For the Grow Tri-Valley, it is just the city limits of Dublin, Pleasanton, and Livermore. I think I haven't looked at a service map, but that is my instinct. It is bound to the city limits, but there might be opportunities to expand that.
Okay, because there are periodic needs for example, in our wine region to support that economy there with moving their workforce back and forth, or even some visitors. So hopefully that will be on the radar for the agency to think about how you can be creative to meet that need.
Yeah, thank you for that. Definitely.
Michelle, you have your hand raised.
Hi, Christy. I just wanted to say thank you for the partnership, the continued partnership. I look forward to working with you in your new role. And I do know without a doubt that our students really benefit from the partnership that we have. Many of our schools are along major routes, and many of our students are using it to get to and from school. So thank you for that. And if there's anything we can do as a school district to help promote, other things that you're trying to communicate to the community, please let us know.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I look forward to working with you as well.
Great. I don't see any other questions for Christy. So Again, if you just want to make sure, in case a question comes up later, maybe just put your contact information in the chat. That would be great. There are you. Okay, wonderful. Done. Okay, so we're going to move on now to, and we're welcoming Kevin Sheridan, Executive Director for Valley Link Rail Project. So Kevin.
Good morning. Thank you. And for the introduction, and shout out Christy. And for those of you who don't know me, I've met you, Dawn, I believe, at the mayor's conference, I believe, in Dublin. But and then I have a director on here. So just a little bit about myself. Between my military service and my current position, I have about 34 years of public service, or serving the public, and at least 25 years in transportation, which includes Caltrans and the San Joaquin Council of Governments, where I'm responsible for all the highway construction, engineering, and environmental over the past 10 to 15 years. And then after that, I went to the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, where I had the pleasure to work with Renee and a number of others on ACE as the director of capital projects, overseeing the expansions to Sacramento and Merced. And I'd always been eyeballing this project because I felt there was a lot of value with Valley Link. And when the opportunity came to join the Valley Link team as a deputy director, I decided to make the jump because I just, watching highway construction and seeing where it leads, it just was evident that it only leads to more congestion. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of transportation, is that there has to be shifts in modes of transportation to help relieve congestion, and also to facilitate more goods movement with truck traffic and freight. So I made the jump to Valley Link with the sole purpose and intention of making sure this project gets delivered. And I have a presentation. I'll do an abbreviated presentation just to give an overview of where we're at today. But I would, as a lead into that, one of the things that hadn't been done before I got here was entering into the federal environmental process, which is essential and really mandatory to getting federal funds. So we are in that process, and I'll go over where we're at with that, and a supplemental CEQA to because there have been some changes to the project, as you'll see. So I'm going to share the screen on that. We're currently in the scoping period for the environmental, or what we call the subsequent CEQA. And I'm hoping everybody can see that okay. If not, please let me.
Yep, looks good.
So, and this is our fall update. We're in the notice of preparation stage right now, the environmental process. So starting this week, we had 2 public scoping meetings. So in essence, I'm going to give you the abbreviated version of the scoping meeting, and where you can make comments if you wish, or if you know anybody that'd like to make comments, there's a link provided, and we encourage everyone to make comments and give feedback so that we can further address during the environmental process. So I'll do a project overview. Not much has changed since the EIR that was approved last year. In this project overview, you'd see a couple things on the legend here. The dashed dark green line leading to the lighter, smaller dashed green line is the corridor that was defined in the EIR from Dublin Pleasanton to North Lathrop. The purple line is the ACE line, and you can see how that intersects with Valley Link. And then the lighter solid green line is now what we're studying as an initial operating segment that is 26 miles. So it will go from Dublin, Pleasanton BART Station, Isabel, South Front stations, and then over the Altamont, and then straighten out across the Altamont to Mountain House at the Interstate 205 location. That was prompted by an environmental document that Caltrans District 10 in Stockton and the San Joaquin Council of Governments began environmental to look at what is this orange line here, which is the middle of 205. They'd identified in that document a fixed guideway for rail or possibly bus, but ideally situated for rail, as it's a straight through connection down the middle of the interstate. And we wanted to make sure that, for starters, we had an environmental document that was consistent with that. And then also that we had a usable part of the project that would work as a standalone until we could further evaluate what the San Joaquin Council of Governments and Caltrans are doing on I-205. It doesn't mean that we can't also turn. There is a Macoca line from a Union Pacific Railroad that allow us to still get to downtown Tracy if that was a preferred alternative, but we're putting this piece on hold, and it currently doesn't have the funding to proceed to construction, whereas we're in a different position from Mountain House to Dublin Pleasanton. This is defined as the mega region, also from really as far down as Stanislaus County. Modesto is where that peak hour commute traffic, and in Stockton, as they come up 99 across 120 and down I-5, they go right through 205, and then it just slams right here with 580, and that's what starts that congestion really all the way down to Oakland. So as I just mentioned, this lighter green line is now we're studying in the subsequent CEQA document and federal environmental document. And it will include 26-mile guideway with 4 stations, 1 aerial and 3 at grade. It also includes operational maintenance facility and operation support site in Tracy, 200 acres that was dedicated by the city of Tracy for the project. And it would connect to the I-205 managed lanes project in the future. Project benefits goals and objectives haven't changed. Connecting housing to people, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, serving disadvantaged and low-income communities and households, and creating new jobs to help promote economic recovery. The I-580 median alignment, we've made some revisions to that to avoid as much right-of-way take as possible. One of the requirements in the federal environmental document is to look at right-of-way avoidance impact alternatives. And in looking at the interface with BART, the impacts were significantly more than I think were identified, especially from a constructability view. So we modified how this interface works with a new station location that comes out of the median and to the south side of the BART current station. And this is a rendering of that, preliminary, just a drawing. So this is the over here where Hacienda is, on the right where my hand is. As it comes in, it would fly out of I-580 and come sweeping alongside of the BART station here, the BART platforms here, and this would be the new platform for the Valley Link interface with BART. It would be elevated. So what that means is, from a visual impact or visual, if you're looking at it, it won't look any different than what, if you're standing on the Pleasanton side looking north, it would look the same as what you see as the BART station, because it's the same height. This is a rendering of how it looked constructed with the canopies and the station and the parking. We found that it would reduce the Caltrans I-580 reconstruction, roadway bridge walls, adding flyover structure along the north side of the BART station. As recently the fire department, there's a new fire station maintenance facility. The impacts were just, I don't think they were fully understood previously. And the amount of right-of-way that would be taken there would probably have really stopped the project, in my opinion, and a number of others from the engineering, is that we don't feel it could have been constructed. And also, this eliminates any operational impacts of BART and improves construction site accessibility by avoiding the I-580 median access points. We have increased passenger capacity at the station platform also. Vertical circulation, or how people get to and from the train, is largely unchanged, and avoids confusion of system notices and fare collections, and allows for increased tail track and storage track capacity if required. A little bit of the cost. We're trying to minimize the cost on all this. We're still in the preliminary stages, so there'll be more to come on this. Now we get to probably What's most important to Livermore are the Isabel and South Front stations. This is Isabel. The green lines indicate the right-of-way acquisition occurring along the north side. This is preliminary. We'll continue to work to minimize impacts to right-of-way. And as we work with Caltrans now, who is overseeing the engineering approvals, we are meeting with, in fact, we have our second meeting, official project development meeting with Caltrans tomorrow. And we set that up monthly. The purple is the station platform. Just begins to show some of the highway or interstate work that's needed to put the Valley Link station and platform in the median. This is a rendering of what the pedestrian overcrossings would look like at Isabel. And we're going to continue to work with City of Livermore engineering and Caltrans also to see what we can do to make this usable when the rail service is in service. So in other words, when we're not running Valley Link, we don't want to build this and have it not usable for the public, and neither does the City of Livermore at this point in time. So we want to make this usable when Valley Link isn't running. So we'll probably have to look at some gates here so that people don't wander down to the platform when the trains aren't in service, just from a safety perspective. But this gives an idea of what the dual ped over would look like from north to south. This is another rendering of the station platform, the pedestrian overcrossing, and the current parking or proposed parking. It's more just line work of overlays of the highway and how it affects properties along the south side of I-580. These are preliminary, where you see these green lines coming through these buildings, for instance. We're not going to be shaving off the face of the building. It's just how it overlays onto this particular Google Earth drawing. So we'll be tightening that up as we move forward and working with the affected property owners to let them know what the impacts are. And as we get through the environmental process for the federal and the state doing the supplement CEQA, we will then do appraisals after, but we'll start working with the property owners ahead of time on that too. We get to South Front Station. It's a median station platform with parking lot off South Front Road. We'll have for now, the single pedestrian overcrossing to access from the parking to the platform in the median. This is another draft rendering of what that parking lot and circulation would look like, and the pedestrian overcrossing to the platform. Mountain House Station has been relocated to I-205. So this is Mountain House Parkway. This is the station parking, and then over on the east side, there would be a tunnel right here that goes under the interchange over into the maintenance facility. For our agency roles, we have FTA is now the lead agency for NEPA, with Caltrans being a cooperating agency. Valley Link Board is still the lead agency for CEQA, and Caltrans is now the CEQA responsible agency. We held our first scoping meeting Monday. We had another one on Tuesday, but we're still accepting comments up to December 19th. As far as our schedule, we are currently here, and we're now in this shaded part of the tracks and anticipate completing the environmental, federal and state environmental process by 2024, spring of 2024. And then we would look to work with Caltrans to do a type of design build called CMGC, where Caltrans would take the lead on 580 and then do a design build on the Altamont piece. So that would help expedite the design through construction. So we'd finalize design by 2025 and then advertise the project for construction. And the construction timeline would be from 2025 to 2027, with service beginning. We have to do some testing, but then revenue service starting shortly after that in 2027 or 2028. What has the significant developments that happened over the last year is that Valley Link was approved in the FTA's Project Development Capital Investment Grants Program. What that means is we're eligible for a 30% match to the funds that we already have identified, which is out of a $1.8 billion project is the current estimate. We currently have $750 million identified between Measure BB and other funding sources through MTC. And of course, the city's contributions, each city is contributing amount of money per station. So that counts as our local match for the federal program, which is approximately 30%. So as you can see, if that 30%, we're now at $400 million approximately on a $1.8 billion job, it gets us closer to that 1.8 because we're about 1.2. And then we're in also MTC's major advancement policy. For those of you that have been watching the MTC's recent committee meetings or commission meetings, Valley Link is identified as a tier 2 priority in that regional grant strategy for the federal bipartisan infrastructure law. So we're very happy that the project's included in MTC's priority list. That gives us a better opportunity once we complete environmental to use the funding we have identified here and the federal funds to help leverage additional state funds from programs such as the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program. And that's a very large program every cycle. And for instance, ACE, when I was there, shortly before I got there, was a recipient of $400 million. And then after, I think in 2018, they were the recipient of $500.5 million in TIRSA, what they call TRCP funding. So that's how some of those chunks of funding can come through the state when you have other funds to leverage and you have a project that's getting closer to construction, at least completing the environmental and design. So I'll stop there and take any questions. If there are.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking. Any questions for Kevin? Okay, Mark. Mark's on it today. Go ahead, Mark.
I don't know why it's just me today. Maybe, I don't know. Hey, thanks for that presentation. So what, people ask the question all the time, when's this coming? And I know it's hard to predict that, but what would be a good answer to if a client asks, hey, I'm interested in this project, it's going to help a lot of our employees get to work. When can you expect something like this to happen? What would be a good maybe time frame that we could quote to others about when this potentially could happen?
So I'm resharing the schedule and I can send this out to you. I think you're recording, so you'll have it. So if they're wondering when we might be, there's a couple of different questions in there. You might have some people that are wondering when their land's going to be acquired or when offers are going to be made. I'm not sure. And then you have those that are probably wondering just when's the train going to be built and I can start riding it. So from an acquisition perspective, we would look to start acquiring right away in and after 2024 in that time frame. From a construction perspective, we would begin construction sometime in 2025. It takes a couple of years, 2 to 3 years or seasons to build. That's optimistic with construction contracting and unforeseens, but that's the timeline we're putting in there for now. And 2027 to 2028 is when we anticipate commuters could start riding the train. So that's
okay.
So we have.
Okay, so you could say somewhere in the end of within the next 7 to 10 years, something like that.
Well, I mean, it's 2023. So if we're in 2027, I'd say 5 years from now, we'll be
5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years? Okay. All right.
How about 5 years optimistic, 7 years pessimistic?
Okay.
That's-
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I'm excited about this project because I would love to see the Tracy commute going down. It's bad. So my questions are relating to payment, because I can see from a commute perspective, are you going to be using the Clipper card or allowing the Clipper card, which is what people are using for the bus and for BART? And would there be a transfer available? And my second question is, in retrospect, looking at BART, the elevators are always broken on all of the stations every time I go to them. And so if you're in a wheelchair, you're out of luck. So my question is are you planning on doing anything different with the construction of the station so that there's ramps instead of elevators for folks who aren't able to negotiate stairs? Thank you.
Those are all really great questions. So for the Clipper card, we're still working. We're going to be working with BART. We want to make sure that it's as seamless as possible. But also the board has identified, we're partnering with ACE, will be our contractor, our operator. So as we look at how interfaces work, if someone is in Sacramento or Merced and they're coming to Lathrop and catching Valley Link, how is that seamless transition from a fare collection? So we really want to continue working that out. I don't have an answer for you, but it is definitely something we need to, that's a good problem to have because that means we'll be getting closer to construction. When we start talking about what we're going to do for fare collection and how people are going to transfer, and we'll work with BART. We have been in communication with BART, and fare collections have been part of that discussion. We just haven't got a definitive answer on that yet, but as soon as I do, I'll be happy to share it. And also things change. I know when I was at the Rail Commission, we went to a mobile app. Hopefully technology will improve to the point where it's more seamless for fares and people aren't having to break out different Clipper cards or this or that to try and ride the train. I want to make it as easy as possible for everybody. And then just make sure I understand your second question correctly. I'm sorry, what was that again?
My second question has to do with folks that are in wheelchairs or walkers. They can't go up and down the stairs. The escalators are breaking at the BART stations all the time, and so are the elevators. So
I want because you had mentioned the ramps. So that was a big subject of conversation when I was with the Rail Commission, because the way that the ramps had to be positioned, you end up in some cases with the switchbacks of ramps, requiring the people that may have the more mobility or may be challenged with mobility more to go the farthest distance with the ramp. So it ends up being the length of a football field. It seems like by the time you get from one end to the other, going back and forth on a ramp. So we do anticipate having escalators or elevators, and that is a challenge. We just have to, make the best sense of it. But I think elevators and escalators are probably what I would see at Dublin Pleasanton at this point in time. There might not be enough room for switchbacks or ramps. And I know that that's a question that comes up on every rail project that I've worked on at every station. And sometimes they have stations that are remote and you don't have people there to assist if an elevator breaks. And that's where it really becomes challenging. If you're somewhere in the valley where you don't have a manned or a station that has personnel working there, like a transit center, and an elevator breaks, that's very difficult. So I'm hoping that, because where we're interfacing with BART, I'm disappointed to hear that the elevators are always broken. I didn't know that. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So we'll have to figure out some sort of operational plan, or if we have something there that's better. But I'll look into that some more as we talk to BART with their operations. I appreciate the comment.
Okay, Mayor Warner.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've ridden BART for a long time and understand its issues. And it's, I think part of it is it's fundamentally the way it was designed with special equipment. Those escalators, you can't get parts for them. They just screwed it up. So I think it starts with really the question is, are you going to engineer the system well, unlike what BART did? And it goes from there. So I think there are lots of places in the world where escalators and elevators are reliable. BART is not one of them.
So we won't be to that point. I appreciate that, Mayor Warner, that we're not looking to use anything proprietary that we can't buy at the regular store. So hopefully there's, using parts that for elevators that every hotel uses or are commonly in use is something we would engineer to use, not a proprietary type of part that is expensive and can't be found readily.
I mean, they had the wrong gauge. I mean, they did everything to make it impossible to maintain the system over time.
Question for Kevin. It wasn't clear to me, Kevin, on the diagram of the transfer at the BART station. Is that just the cross-platform transfer?
It wouldn't be a cross-platform, so people will have to go down, like even with the original EIR where the platform was alongside, people had to go down, walk across and come back up. So the distance will be a little further with the platform out of the median, but it removes the conflicts. And I would say that if in the initial stages, if BART would have been more amiable to a station like eBART at Pittsburgh or Antioch at the eBART transfer station, that to me would have worked seamless, but they wouldn't allow it. And so what that led to was putting this. So when I look at this, project evolution, so what that led to was bringing the platform to the north, which pushed the freeway to the north. And what doing that did was pushed it into Scarlet Court and the fire, all of Dublin's right away. In a way, it's a way of, I don't want to say killing the project, but in a way, making it almost impossible to construct. I hate to use the word impossible from engineering, making it the construction challenges much more difficult and the impacts to business owners far more drastic. So we were lucky that when we discussed this piece of land with Zone 7 with their general manager and engineering staff, that there was an opportunity to use this piece of land, and we'll go through and continue working with their engineering staff and being environmentally sensitive in that area to ensure that the impacts are minimized and we can put the station platform there, and that reduces the cost and the impacts to the business owners.
Okay, thank you, Kevin, for that presentation. And again, if you're able to put your contact information, we have a couple minutes left on the call this morning, but your contact information, email, or maybe your phone, so that people can take note.
Okay.
That's great.
I'll do it in the chat. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share what's going on with the project. And once again, please feel free to make comment. If anybody has comments on the environmental, we have till the 19th to get the comments in so we can move on to the next step.
I'm sure we'll have you back, right, Dawn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Between now and when the service is running, we will
Oh, I
have.
hope so. All right. Thank you.
And this recording will be posted on our website when it's ready.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
So that wraps up our December, actually that wraps up our 2022. Thank you all to all of you that come and report and provide such wonderful information.